You may have heard of the concept of six-star service. Now, why I think this is so important, I believe service comes before anything else. In fact, if we had a situation where we thought about how many people we're going to interact with versus how many transactions we're going to do, we'll interact with far more people. So if service is always the first thing we do, we'll be just serving ourselves remarkably well in terms of the results. Now, I believe a business basic is that you need clients more than they need you. This is super important. And I know, it's easier for us to find service experiences where we go, that was a really lousy service experience. And by the way, if we go to a restaurant and someone comes up to us and says, how was your meal? If we say fine, it was not fine. We just think, I'm not going to actually complain. I'm not going to go into it. I'm just never coming back again. So what the restaurateur thinks, well, no one's complained. Everything is going great. They're just not coming back. And this is where loyalty starts to really kick in. And we absolutely want to stimulate word of mouth in this process as well. So a key business focus for us to take on board is the first thing is we want to create clients for life. So we want to move from a transaction to a relationship where we're starting to turn them into raving fans. And a raving fan does not need to be us. They're singing our praises out there in the marketplace. Of course, we want them to come back. And we also want them to refer their friends and their family to actually come in. And finally, we want to enjoy making it happen. See, I believe the day that you walk away feeling frustrated, you've had clients that have been less than ideally satisfied. So if we can actually have a delighted client experience or a real feeling of satisfaction for clients, all of a sudden that will shift who we are and how we're operating with our clients. I want to come back to something that I've coached within the real estate profession for a number of years now, and this is this concept of client's perception. Now, interestingly enough, from a client's point of view, if we go out and ask 1,000 people in your marketplace, do you think real estate agencies are fundamentally the same or are they different? Most of the market, those 1,000 potential clients in your marketplace will say, yeah, look, they're pretty much the same. So we've got to go against what's called the sea of sameness and create a strong point of difference. And the service we wrap around the core of what we do is absolutely critical. Because when you look at it, at the very basic, one real estate agent does do something very similar to the other real estate agent. So it makes sense that a client would perceive that, well, yeah, you're just another blue dot. It doesn't matter who I choose. It's sort of the same result. What we want to do is shift that perception in the marketplace. The best way to do that, when someone comes and interacts with us, they have an experience where they walk away going, wow, that was impressive. That was beyond the expectations that I actually had of what a real estate professional would actually do. And service today is not just comparing us to another real estate agent, even though that's what we just did. Service now is what's the best service experience that I am having and how does this compare to it? So, at the moment, responsiveness is a bit of an issue in a lot of offices in terms of how fast we get back to meeting a client's expectations. So they pop an email through, they ask for a request, they have a voicemail message there. And this would be like if we went up to McDonald's and McDonald's said, oh, we're a bit busy at the moment. We're not actually going to respond to your particular request for a burger at this point in time. It's like, no, that would be a bad business model. So it's a bad business model for us too, not to have the ability to respond. And by the way, responsiveness is one of the things that elevates us in the client's mind as to who we are and how we're actually operating. So what we want to do is shift from this blue dot kind of concept to having this like, wow, you're a shining star. You've got this ability to wrap some things around. So from our core offering, which is, we're going to auction a property, we're going to open a property, we're going to show buyers through, we're going to negotiate for you, we're going to have a great tenant selection process and so on. It's what we wrap around this core service offering that makes the ultimate difference for us. So I'd love you to take on board that the client's perception is reality. In other words, if they walk away and feel you're no different, then that is the absolute truth for them. So our goal is, how do we stand out in a positive way for all of the right reasons to the client in such a way they go, wow, that was seriously impressive. Now, to help us with that, I'd like to actually bring in the concept of operating above the line or below the line. So this is our approach to how we're going to handle things from a client point of view. So below the line, we can play the deny, the blame, and the excuse game. You know, we ask a 2-year-old child, did they spill the milk? They said, no, Dolly did it. That's blame. Deny, I didn't know there's any milk on the floor. And finally, they'll make an excuse. Congratulations. This is about playing the victim and justifying why things aren't going the way we want it to. Let me tell you, from a client's point of view, if they actually come to you and someone is playing the blame game, and you think about it, you as a client, if you've gone to an organisation and someone's played the blame game, they've denied, they've had to, or they're making an excuse, it just doesn't land well. So much so that rather than it being a turn on, it's actually a turn off, and we have a cringe factor moving away. That's below the line behavior. By the way, we can apply that model to everything in life. Your fitness, if you're playing blame, excuse, deny, you won't have the fitness that you want. Financially, if you play blame, excuse, deny, you won't have the financial future that you want. So, but we're going to look at this from a service first point of view, and now bring into play this upside. And that is where we want to be responsible. We want to actually be accountable and have a high level of ownership. So when a client comes to us and they experience ownership, accountability, and responsibility, it means we're being a true leader and recognize we have some choices that we make as to how we serve clients in that particular moment. So I'd love you to take it on board that in everything in life, the more that you take ownership, accountability, and responsibility, the better results we'll actually be able to produce. And certainly with clients interacting with us, how is it we can actually take on board even greater ownership, greater accountability, and greater responsibility? And this is ensuring that we see something through. It's ensuring that we actually have a complete view and a complete outcome for the clients. By the way, if this isn't up in your office somewhere, I'd love it to be. It's a fundamental framework that we coach. And let me tell you, I can actually tell you, many years ago, I would blame traveling a lot, and I would blame staying in hotels as the reason why I didn't have the health and fitness and my weight was the way it was. So I actually had what I consider the ultimate excuse. Now, get the point. Whilst ever I hold on to that excuse, I'm not going to have the fitness that I want. So, the apple crumble did not need to land into my room. Like, it just didn't need to arrive. But somehow magically it did, of course, with that extra scoop of ice cream as well. So you start to look at that and go, okay, every aspect of my life, I can start to say, where am I playing the game? In relationships, in family, in your health and fitness, in the fun you're having in life. You can go grumpy bum or say, hang on a tick, if I am responsible for my life, if I'm in the driver's seat and I've got the keys and I can steer where I want to go, what does that actually look like? And certainly from a client's point of view, when they arrive to you, they have a need, a desire, a want for some advice and help to be able to see it through. Let's now add a layer to this and move this into a service conversation. So there's this concept of service versus satisfaction. Are they the same thing or are they different? Well, they're similar and they're related. And service is the action we do. Satisfaction is the feeling that someone actually gets. So service, the action we're in a delivery mode. Satisfaction, the feeling someone has. So you can have a level of service, and you think about it, I guarantee in the last 3 months, 6 months, you've had a service experience that left you feeling a way that I'm never going to go back there again, or feeling disappointed, feeling frustrated, feeling concerned that, wow, I'm never going to refer anyone to that. Or someone asks you, oh, hey, you went to that restaurant last night. How was it? Oh, hey, didn't you buy something? Yeah, I wouldn't go there. So this ability to have it happen. And by the way, when someone moves into a property, be they leasing a property or purchasing a property, guarantee in their world, they get asked questions. How was your experience? How's it going? So we're in this stimulation mode of saying, did our level of service deliver a level of satisfaction? And and that satisfaction needs to be one that creates a raving fan from that point of view. This is the satisfaction thermometer. Aha. So the satisfaction thermometer in the center, and think about this for you when you are a client. If you walk away satisfied and content, there's a high likelihood that you're not going to tell anyone about it. You're just like, okay, yeah, I went to that shop, I bought that, I got that delivered to me. You're just satisfied, you're content. The problem is if we go south here at the moment, if we get to bitter and twisted and angry, they have, and not just word of mouth now, they have world of mouth via social. And the more bitter and twisted and angry someone is, the more passionate they are about Google reviews. There's a website called reviews.com where they can go and actually, dump on the business. So one negative experience has a huge impact on us. Or the one in between there is they're just disappointed and they're frustrated. And, they're not coming back. And, maybe we can turn them around. There is something called complaint marketing. But what we want to do ultimately is recognize that there are some stats for us to have a look at here. So the first service stat to look at is only 4% of customers complain. So we think, well, we've only had X number of complaints. Yeah, but the problem is that means for every complaint, there are 26 others who have got an issue that they just thought it's not worth worrying about it. I'm just never going to do business with them again. So this is a big issue for our businesses. And the reality is it costs 6 to 10 times more to acquire new customers than to keep the existing ones. Now, what's interesting with this is I believe that once someone comes into your business as a family in terms of their property journey, that should be a client for life. So one of the things is to recognize is that bad news travels 3 times faster than good news. And what I mean by that, team, is, and I'm sort of cringing a little bit as I say this, if you have one person who has a negative experience, they're going to tell 3 times as many people as someone who has a positive experience. So if someone has a negative experience, one person, we've got to have 3 positive experiences just to neutralize the word of mouth impact with that. Now, it used to be someone had a great experience, they'll tell 10 people. Someone has a bad experience, they'll tell 30 people. You've got to add a 0 to both of those now. It's typically 100 people on social are going to hear about the negative experience and 300 are going to hear about the positive experience and 300 are going to hear about the negative experience. This is significant when we start to put this into play, into practice as to what we need to do. So what we want to achieve is pretty obvious. Through the service first model, what we want to do is move from the satisfied, content, certainly the bitter and twisted and the disappointed and frustrated, up to this high level of satisfaction, which is pleased and positive and ultimately delighted and impressed. So this is, that ability for someone to walk away, I'm delighted with experience. Now, how many times do you need to go to a restaurant? How many times do you need a service experience before you walk away willing to sing the praises? I would suggest once. So the question is, every one of our interactions is of incredibly high value for us to capitalize and make happen. So if we look at lifetime value of a client, what we want to do is run through and understand the loyalty ladder. I'll work through this pretty fast, guys. We've got suspects. We want to turn them into prospects. We want to turn them into customers, turn those customers who buy off us once into clients. So we now own a part of their mind as their ongoing service experience. We want to turn those clients into advocates. And advocates, when asked, will actually sing your praises. And the ultimate place we want to get to is raving fans. And raving fans do not wait to be asked. And the beautiful thing about real estate is real estate features in the top 5 discussion points at dinner parties. So given it's in the top 5, if you've got raving fans out there singing your praises, it is the best marketing you can possibly have around building momentum in your marketplace. And the reality is quite often the people who we serve actually know people who we want to serve. And the ability for us, rather than to do a cold call prospecting, which, by the way, has got a place within our business, as opposed to having someone endorse us for free, is a huge impact. And it all comes down to the service experience we've actually achieved.